How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. Well, my royal family, a little over a week ago, I had made a video saying that I was going to also cover the Laquan McDonald case. And I've been putting more energy in Botham Jean because I'm very committed to that. And I haven't lost sight of this case. Y'all, and I know y'all fully understand what's going on because that's where a lot of our energy been. But I'm here today to cover some of Laquan McDonald's case. So many know that this pig slaughtered our royal son and pumped 16 bullets in him. And in the state of Chicago, they have did everything possible to keep delaying this for this murderer. And we fully understand how white privilege work. Also, the double part, him being an unquote pig, he really gets the full protection and treatment. But eventually, everyone has their day. So I was totally surprised that this pig, this murderer, he has choices. So he chose to get up on the stand. Not a good move, but it's a strategy that they using, and we're gonna talk more about it. So let me get this right. Looking at the many faces of this dude, I mean, his energy, he comes off very weak. He come off very, very weak. And really what we are looking at is the core of what he truly is. When these suckers get caught, they instantly go into lion mode. They instantly go into victim mode. And they make us more than what we are. You know, they even look at our children. They'll make them older. If they see a 10-year-old child, they swear they gotta be 20. Everything with us is always over amplified. But then when they get called on the carpet, they have fear. Well, this is his profession. And any profession that anyone is in, I hold them to a higher standard. And this is nothing new to us. We have been being slaughtered every single day. I often say every millisecond somebody is doing something evil to the chosen ones. So these 3 videos that I'm going to show the royal family is going to be eye-opening. And before I get started, I have already put on Black Junction an hour of his testimony if you want to listen to all the nuances in it. So I done squanted it down to 3 videos. We're gonna hear some people's opinions, but we're gonna mainly hear the murderer that murdered our royal son.
Hey everybody, welcome to After the Gavel on this Tuesday. And actually today is the first time this week that we've had any testimony. Yesterday we were supposed to have testimony in the Van Dyke trial, but apparently a juror was sick. So apparently that juror is better. So we went forward with a testimony today. And this is the defense wrapping up its case. So we heard from several experts, a use of force expert who said this was a justified shooting, a psychologist who said that Jason Van Dyke believed that there was a deadly threat at the time he shot, but probably the testimony that will really stay with everyone watching the trial, especially the jurors, is testimony from Jason Van Dyke himself. Now, it was a big question about whether he was going to testify or not this whole trial. He doesn't have to testify. He has the right to testify, and he also has the right to remain silent. It's getting a little bit noisy here because it is a busy place here in the courtroom. Some folks are coming out of the courtroom. But so Jason Van Dyke did testify. So this is the first time the jurors have actually heard from him, with the exception of a good morning or a hello when he's introduced himself to jurors during jury selection or during the trial. So today he was a bit emotional at times, remembering that day and recalling details. But as he was talking about this time, he talked about seeing Laquan McDonald and having this blank stare. He gave kind of some really graphic description of what Laquan McDonald looked like. And he also acknowledged that he did know that there were other officers on the scene. There were other officers with guns drawn. He knew there was a taser on its way. And he also acknowledged that in some of the things that he thought he remembered weren't exactly accurate because he's seen the video. So we have the complete raw video of his testimony, so you can decide for yourself what you think about what Van Dyke had to say about the shooting. He was questioned by both prosecution as well as his own defense team, so you can view it yourself at abc7chicago.com. We'll try and put the link on this after the gavel for you, but otherwise we'll see you tomorrow. The defense is expected to rest tomorrow, and then the prosecution has a couple of witness closing arguments are set for Friday, and that's when we begin. The jurors expect the jurors to begin their deliberations, so we'll find out when they...
Okay, so we got that. So let's go up here. Let's see here. Where's the other one? Okay. So let me make sure I got this right, because this is 4 minutes and this one is 2. Okay. So I did a little change. I want y'all to hear. Let's see here. Which one do I want to play, y'all? So you got the 4-minute one, and we have, okay, I'm going to play this one, excuse me for this, I'm going to play this one first.
You are a traveler. Sometimes.
Damn commercials. Can't stand commercials. Forgive me, family. Bear with me so we can get deeper into this. Because what y'all getting ready to hear is so pathetic.
Officer Van Dyke, you were out there to serve and protect, correct?
Yes.
And when you got out of that squad car, Laquan McDonald was walking toward you, right?
Yes.
If that's your objection on redirect, overrule. Go ahead and proceed.
If I'm walking toward you and I step over this far, am I still walking toward you?
Yes, you are.
Did he ever turn and walk toward that fence?
His back never once turned towards me.
And he could have walked to that fence, couldn't he, if he wanted to?
He could have made a decisive turn and walked in the opposite direction, ending it all. He could have thrown that knife away and it ended it all right then and there.
And how many times did you ask him to drop that knife?
Several.
And he never dropped that knife, did he?
No.
And he turned toward you with that knife drawn, right?
Yes.
And you saw McGilligan chasing him with a gun, right?
Yes.
And he had that knife out then, too, right?
That's correct.
And 1 minute, Judge, please. And when he turned toward you, you said he raised that knife, right?
Yes.
And show us how he raised it again, please.
From his lower right side, going across his chest, upwards towards his left shoulder.
And he's facing you at that point, right?
Yeah, his upper body's facing me. He's doing that.
And that's when you shot.
Yes.
Did you think you were going to get attacked at that point?
I'll allow that question to be asked. You can answer.
Yes.
Thank you, Officer Edmonds.
Recross-examination, Ms. Gleason.
Did your testimony that he never turned his back towards you that night?
No, he did not turn his back towards me.
So it was impossible that you shot him in the back?
From what I saw in the video, he spun.
Well, when he's spinning, his back is obviously towards you, correct?
A short period of time, maybe like that.
And you could have ended it all the minute he hit the ground, correct?
Between the time of me realizing he hit the ground, reassessing it, after the assessment, you know, that's why I reassessed the situation, yes.
But you testified that even when you reassessed the situation, you continued to shoot him.
Because to me, it seemed like he was getting back up.
No
and he was
questions,
in the fight.
Thank you, excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Van Dyke. You can step down.
All right, my royal family, let's continue on. Let me take this down.
We're at the Layton Criminal Court building today where we saw Jason Van Dyke finally take the stand during his trial to give crucial testimony and a description that we've never heard before of his point of view of the shooting of Laquan McDonald. It was compelling stuff. It was emotional. And Jason Van Dyke described the look that he saw from Laquan McDonald. He said Laquan McDonald's eyes were bugging out. He said Laquan McDonald looked right through him. He seemed to be expressionless. And most crucially, he said Laquan McDonald continued to advance on him, right? Anything I'm leaving out here?
Yeah, I mean, we finally got to hear from him what his perception of what was going on at the moment he just made the decision to open fire. This was important to note that this testimony was prefaced by another defense witness, a psychologist who had interviewed Van Dyke back in 2016 and discussed the effects, both psychological and physiological, on memory formation during high-stress situations, which would go into explaining why some portions of what Jason Van Dyke recalled, he admitted, did not match up with what's on that dash cam video that we've all seen so many times.
For example, Jason Van Dyke insisted that he thought that he was backpedaling in that crucial moment when in fact it turned out he was advancing, correct?
And he conceded, yes, after watching the video. Since then he realizes he did not backpedal, but as he said on cross-examination, he said, "Ma'am, that night I thought I was backpedaling," when he was cross-examined on his statements that he gave to detectives the night of the shooting.
There were also some crucial statements that we heard that Van Dyke had made to that psychologist, right? Can you tell us about those?
Yeah, these statements that he did not make on the witness stand, but made back during a psychological evaluation back in 2016, may be more damning than what he said on the stand today. He apparently told his partner, as they were listening to scanner traffic the night of the shooting, when he heard that Laquan McDonald had stabbed the windshield and tire of a police vehicle, he had asked his partner, why didn't they shoot him if he's attacking them? Then, as they drew closer, within 2 blocks of what would be the shooting scene, before he had laid eyes on Laquan McDonald, he said to his partner, "Oh my God, we're going to have to shoot the guy."
And of course, key here is going to be how all this plays with the jury. We're going to find out soon. We expect the defense to rest tomorrow. There may be some rebuttal from the state, but we could see.
Okay, let's continue on. Now, this is the one that gets me right here.
Soft-spoken and alternately composed and then teary-eyed, Jason Van Dyke recounted his version of the night he fatally shot Laquan McDonald. Jason Van Dyke says there's an image of Laquan McDonald he'll never shake.
His face had no expression. His eyes were just bugging out of his head. He had just these huge white eyes just staring right through me.
Seconds later, Van Dyke says he fired his weapon on an armed Laquan McDonald.
I was yelling at him, drop the knife. I yelled it, I don't know how many times, but that's all I yelled.
And did he keep advancing toward you?
He never stopped.
Van Dyke described McDonald's motions and the moment that changed his life.
He waved the knife from his lower right side upwards, across his body, towards my left shoulder.
And when he did that, what did you do, officer?
I shot him.
In that tearful 90-minute testimony, the veteran Chicago police officer seemed to contradict his own account of what he told detectives happened that night.
Miss, I thought I was backpedaling that night.
You thought you were backpedaling as you're firing shot after shot after shot?
What I know now and what I thought at that time are two different things.
This Van Dyke testimony could impact the rest of his life.
It was extremely important that the jurors see not the man that fired the 16 shots in Laquan McDonald, but the man himself.
This team is expected to wrap tomorrow and then
Okay. So we're supposed to feel some kind of way because he's not saying it directly, but he's saying it in an indirect way, how much he feared for his life. Now, before I close out, I want to make sure that I want to check this out to make sure I covered enough of it because I wanted
Nothing says confidence.
wanted the family to really get a good insight on how these spineless cowards act when they are up on the auction block, and how they it's just so disingenuous how they express themselves. So let's see. I want to see this video and see if I'm not overlapping. Just bear with me here. Okay, that is the one. Okay, that is not the video that I want y'all to see. So let's go. Let me see here. Let's go. Let me refresh this and see how this act. That is not the one. Oh my goodness. Let's go back over here. Something I want y'all to hear before I close out. Okay. Check video. Because this was very compelling. It was something that he said here. I think it's here, right here. Let's check this out.
The secret's out. Young Sheldon is the fall's best.
All right, you and y'all damn commercials.
Chicago police officer charged with murdering a black teenager took the stand in his own defense today. Video of the shooting appears to show the teenager veering away from police before he is shot, but the officer told a different story. Dean Reynolds reports.
An emotional Chicago police officer, Jason Van Dyke, told the jury today what he saw and why he shot 17-year-old Laquan McDonald on that October night almost 4 years ago.
His face had no expression. His eyes were just bugging out of his head. He had just these huge white eyes just staring right through me.
He also had a knife with a 3-inch blade. In this dashcam video, McDonald is seen eluding a police pursuit when Van Dyke gets out of his SUV and takes dead aim. Defense counsel Randy Ruckert walked him through what happened next.
I was yelling at him, drop the knife. I yelled, I don't know how many times, but that's all I yelled.
And did he keep advancing toward you?
He never stopped.
But neither the dashcam video nor even the defense animation of the deadly confrontation shows McDonald advancing.
And what, if anything, you do with his arm?
He waved the knife from his lower right side upwards, across his body, towards my left shoulder.
Also not seen in the videos. So why shoot 16 times?
I could see him starting to push up with his left hand off the ground. I shot at that knife. I wanted him to get rid of that knife.
Prosecutor Jody Gleason was incredulous.
You're not trained as a police officer to shoot at somebody's knife, are you?
No, you're not.
Van Dyke was the only officer of at least 7 on the scene that night to open fire. The public outcry led to mass protests, the dismissal of the police superintendent, and the election defeat of the state's attorney, who charged Van Dyke only after the video was released. The prosecution argues that Van Dyke was enraged that a black boy, as they put it, had the audacity to ignore police commands. Van Dyke is facing 2 counts of first-degree murder that, if convicted, could land him in prison for life. Closing arguments are expected this week. Jeff?
All right, Team Reynolds.
All right. I'm glad I showed that. So, this dude is so disingenuous. Because I've been, I watched a couple of videos, and what gets me with his, he reminds me of fucking Jeffro, how he looked. His brain probably no bigger than a pea. So he was so fucking fearful for his life. He was so worried about that knife that he had to shoot the knife. And when I was looking at the video with the sound effects, and I don't want to show it, it's literally like he drove up, got out the car, started screaming and shooting, all in one. And one of the attorneys said what I said. This is your motherfucking profession. You've been doing this for a while. You well seasoned. And you're so scared, you got a ton of cops around him, that you're fearing for your life to this extent. You got a car that protects you. You got a vest on, taser, gun, billy club, everything. And the other greasy cops, because they was greasy too, some other shit they did, trying to get rid of I never understood that part when they were erasing. They was up in a fast food joint, and they erasing footage. And while they erasing footage, they're being filmed, gaining more footage. I was like, wow. So they did grant immunity to the other police officers to keep them in the clear. We already know the whole scenario, how they get down. But how do you justify 16 bullets? He was shooting him so much. If y'all listen to the video, with the sound, you're seeing the bullets bounce off of him. He in such a state of rage, he was getting ready to reload his gun and pump him some more, and his partner stopped him. And all of them lied and said, well, he was lunging. Like I said, at first, when the other cops were dealing with him, they distanced themselves because they knew that he was high. He was a threat to himself. The reason why he had the knife, he was out there high and puncturing people's tires. So you already know you got a 5150. And they called for a taser. So they were trying to take the least, they didn't want, I guess they chose not to be lethal that day, but he chose to be lethal. That does not give the others any brownie points at all, because they all dusty and greasy, because they went into immediately lying. And the mayor, Ramel, he hides the videotape. And because we are taxpayers and because we are citizens, that is essentially our property. We can look at that. We don't want to pay your asses. See, this is where they lose sight at. It's them, it's us against the world, exclusively the royal family. Because these other folks, I ain't been in a white neighborhood yet, or Asian neighborhood yet, where they build a substation right in the unquote hood. Do it all the time. It's, oh wow. It's just really, really sad that this young man had to experience, because he didn't have a good life at all, to experience all them bullets going in his body. And the majority of them, when you look at this, 16 bullets from the back. So what the fuck are you talking about? So when they even looked at the tape, they knew that they could not explain it away. So they said, get up on the stand. He's sitting up there crying. No, you sitting up there crying because you thinking I might have to end up going to jail. Oh, they love locking us up. They gleeful about it. Sleep real good after beating the ass, locking us up, trumping up charges, making it more than what it is, inconveniencing your life. That is their mission. when they dealing with us. Really greasy and really dusty. You know what, the thing that I also want to point out is I only support Laquan because the family was paid behind the scenes, and this is another thing that they've been doing quite a bit lately, is they'll have the family come out and say, we don't need no protests or no violence. And a lot of us get turned off with the families. So that's why I choose to just focus on the unquote victim, because it's still injustice. And, you know, that's just how some of our folks get down. So that would be a way, because some people really get turned off and say, dang, I'm supporting the family and this is where they acting. And just push them to the side and just focus on the victim and, you know, the evidence in the case, the fuckeries, the lies, and everything that they present to us, because we are under siege. We literally, you know, I was thinking about this the other day. We literally have a gun at all of our heads in this system because these people are so fearful of us. I just never could comprehend in my psyche, you the pig, you got all kind of arsenal to protect yourself, but you that petrified with us. So anyway, I'm just going on ranting and raving, and like again, I will put this link here. Y'all can, if y'all choose to listen to the lies and the fuckery, but I had to keep my word with the royal family. I haven't been putting anything up, and I said, okay, this is juicy. This doofus or Jeffro then got his low IQ ass up on that stand because he want us to feel some kind of way. So, you know, if he get convicted, and we know if he gets sentenced, it'll probably be for 2 or 3 days or something like that if the shit happen. You know, we can't get excited about nothing in this system. So anyway, my royal family, render your voice with your beautiful divine words. And as always, my royal family, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. And with that said, Ashe.